Hello, everyone. One nation, one election. This is the latest hot topic in our country. The central government has formed a committee to study the proposal of simultaneously holding elections for Lok Sabha, state assemblies, as well as the local bodies like municipalities and panchayats. This idea is propounded on the basis that this will save a lot of money and will also make the administration more effective, because all the resources need to be deployed only in one go if all the elections across the country are held simultaneously. At the same time, there are certain concerns regarding the feasibility of the simultaneous elections, as well as some concerns regarding its effect on federalism and regional representations. Some concerns are raised that regional issues might get subsumed in the larger national issues if all the elections are held simultaneously. So in this background, we are having a discussion with Dr. S.Y. Quraishi, the former Chief Election Commissioner of India from 2010 to 2012. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us. I welcome to our show.
A pleasure.
So at the outset, what do you think about this proposal from your perspective as a former bureaucrat who has served the Election Commission? How do you think this proposal is feasible?
So, well, this proposal has been on the table for the last 10 years. And I've written several articles and I've spoken on various programs like this in the last 10 years. And I've always said initially, my very first article, I said desirable but not feasible. But I got a lot of flack for using the word desirable from some quarters. So according to those people who talk of federalism, and rightly so, they say that it is not even desirable. So anyway, we'll come to that later. So there are pros and cons of the proposal. There are many advantages and there are many problems with it. So now, first of all, the reasons which were given by the original proposal, that it involves a huge cost and repeated cost because of repeated elections. Second, prolonged model code of conduct lead to work paralysis. And third, that the party workers do not get time for their normal work. So now the third one, of course, this basically party workers' job is to fight election. So what else are they doing if election is not important for them? Now, cost. Now, what is the cost has two components. The cost of managing election by the cost to the government or the election commission, which is loosely estimated to be about 4,000 crores, maybe plus minus whatever. But this is hardly an amount to discuss. And this is hardly the amount to be worried about, that we want to save 500 crores, not out of 4,000 crores, 10%, 20% saving. That's not the point. The 60,000 crores was the estimate of expenditure incurred by the political parties and candidates by Center for Media Studies. That is the thing. Now, there are two views there also. Whether that expenditure is undesirable or whether is good for the people. Actually, it creates jobs. It creates opportunities for the poor. It is an opportunity to redistribute and recycle the money which politicians have, and it goes to the poor, the workers, all kinds of workers. So, in fact, in one seminar of youth held in Pune, I came across a girl from Chhattisgarh making a very interesting point when she says कि जब चुनाव आता है, गरीब के पेट में पुलाव आता है. Because for Garib, this is an opportunity. So, therefore, there is a positive side to it, that way it helps the economy. So, but if you have to reduce the cost, could there be other ways? I have been suggesting that the other alternative is that, the main expenditure is by the political parties. Law has prescribed ceiling on expenditure by candidates at all levels for a good reason. The reason being that election should not be a monopoly of only the rich and crorepati. Even a poor person or with moderate means should be able to contest, and there should be level playing field. So there is a ceiling on candidates' individual expenditure. For Lok Sabha, for instance, I think it is now about 80 lakhs or something. 1 rupee more, the election will be set aside, right? Now, but this philosophy of having a ceiling is completely negative by having no limit on political party expenditure. You can't spend more than 80 lakhs, but your party can spend 8 crores, 18 crores, and 80 crores on you. What is this? This makes a mockery of a expenditure ceiling. And in UK, from where we borrowed the entire system, they have a ceiling on both the party and the candidate. I think, and if you do that, and this is in government's hand, and 30 seconds they can do it. There's one order by the Prime Minister, and from 60,000 crores, it will come down to 6,000 crores. So with the one solution, instead of, so much of hue and cry and so much of whatever has been going on for 10 years, there is an easier way. Finally, the prolonged election. It is a misunderstanding that the prolonged election, because of the model code, the work comes to a standstill. Well, that is not true, because if you read the model code, it very clearly says that every ongoing thing will continue, only the new scheme will not be announced. Now, why should the new scheme not be implemented during the 5-year period when a party is in power? For 4 years, 11 months, they forget about these new schemes, and all bright ideas for new schemes come only just before the election. And this is a condition of all parties. Why? So, so that is the only thing which is taught by the Model Code of Conduct. And one more reason why the Model Code is prolonged is multi-phase election. Multi-phase election has been going on for the last 20 years because there used to be a lot of bloodshed on the poll day, leading to the poll day. 40, 50, 60, 100 murders. So therefore, the Election Commission started sending paramilitary forces, and they ensured that there is peace. Every political, when we conduct elections now, and I'm speaking from a 6 years experience, when we go to the state, every single political party demands that we bring paramilitary forces. And in fact, a very interesting example is when I was conducting my first election as CEC in Bihar in 2010, the incumbent chief minister, Mr. Nitish Kumar, said that even if you have to do 10 phases, please bring paramilitary from outside. Now, which is actually a very serious implication, that it means that he doesn't trust his own state police. He wants police from outside. But that is a reality. And which is why now we find increasingly we are finding that multi-phase election, because of lack of security. Why do we have 7 phases, 6 phases? Because when we go to the Home Ministry, we ask the Home Ministry to please tell us how many paramilitary companies had about 100 people. How many companies can you get? They say 700, 800. And then we see how many sensitive booths, hypersensitive booths, and normal booths we have. And then we use the same code. We rotate it from one phase to the other to the third because of the shortage. If we can get 4 times the force in the first place up front, so it will be very good to do the election in single phase and get out. In 33 days, it is possible. 26 days are provided in law, 6-7 days for political activity. So 33 days the election can be held. So, and also one more reason why we must have a single phase is that in the social media age and in the media explosion age, the way the rumors spread in a split second. So between phases, the kind of rumors which spread, which creates problems for law and order machinery, for the Election Commission. So a lot of hate speech which goes on. all that will needs to be stopped, and a single phase election will take care of that. And we have also seen that in this age when our paramilitary force takes 2, 3 days, 4 days to move from one phase to the other, the gundas move in 6 hours. So the advantage of paramilitary is also neutralized. So shortening the election process has a lot of logic and great benefit, and we need to consider it through the route which I mentioned.
So, why do you think that it's not a feasible idea? Could you elaborate on that?
No, it is a feasible idea. It is very much a feasible idea. All we need,
desirable, but it is not feasible.
No. I was talking about the overall thing that one nation, one election or simultaneous election is not feasible because of the legal reasons. You are a law channel. Now, legally, we are a federal country. Every region, every party has its own compulsion, consideration, its own politics, and different issues. So therefore, as people are saying, the opposition parties are saying that this will be an attack on federalism. Why is it that staggered elections are happening? We have heard so many times that originally for the first 10 years there used to be simultaneous election, and later on we started having a staggered election. That is exactly the point. Why did we have a staggered election? Because some government fell, so there has to be a by-election. Then more governments fell, so more by-elections, and that is what has been going on. And even if you create a situation that somehow you do simultaneous election today, same 1952 situation will get repeated as was repeated as happened in 57 or 67. The government will still fall. Suppose one government loses majority in 6 months. So for 4.5 years, do you want a president's rule? What solution is being offered? Of course, all kinds of theories are floated. But what is the solution? So, and if there is a corrupt government or it falls for any good reason or bad reason, so what do you do about it? So you have to have election. You cannot wait. So therefore, pluses and minuses taken together, and also the issues get mixed up. Now, this is an important point that, national election, we have national and international issues. State election, we have state issues, and panchayat election. Suppose you are living in a village. I am living in a village. The drain, nali outside my house is stinking. And therefore, and it's making my life miserable. I want that drain to be cleaned. And if an Anganwadi or a primary school is not functioning, I want that to function rather than bother about our policy toward Ukraine. So now here is a Nalika issue and there is an international issue. They get mixed up. So it will create confusion. And then there is a very important study which was done over 15 years from 1999 to 2014 or 15, when simultaneous elections, to the extent they have been held, as you know, with every Lok Sabha election, 4 or 5 states go to the poll on the same day. That is simultaneous election. What is the voting behavior there? If it is simultaneous election, 77% voters vote for the same party. And if the same election is staggered by 4 or 5 months or 6 months, it drops down from 77% to 61%. And when the gap is even more, then you please recall what happened in Delhi. People voted for one party entirely. They voted for one party in the Vidhan Sabha. A few months later, another election was held for Lok Sabha. The entire populace voted for another party. So, because with time, the issues being different, so voters choose accordingly. So these are all the issues which have to be. I'm sure they have been taken into consideration. After all, 3 committees have gone into it. First, the Parliamentary Committee in 2015, then was Niti Aayog Committee, then more important, particularly for you, for this legal channel, the Law Commission. Law Commission was asked to study the problem and they gave a report in 2018. And what did they say? If you allow me, I'll read out just one line. One, they said that it will require constitutional amendments and 5 articles, Article 83, 85, 172, 174 and 356, and the 10th schedule of the Constitution, and the Amendment to Representation of People Act 1951, and rules and procedures of Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha, which of course the last 2 things are easy, but constitutional amendments. And now the sentence which follows this recommendation, that these amendments are amenable to legal challenges in accordance with the doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution enshrined in the famous Keshavanand Bharti case of 1973. And what the reference to basic structure? Federalism. Now, therefore, if it has such serious implications, the problem far outweigh the benefits. As an election commissioner, I would be very happy with a single election. Why? Because there is a logic there. Because as a voter, you are a voter in a Panchayat election, you are a voter in a Vidhan Sabha election, and you are the same voter in Lok Sabha election. Now, where you go to vote in the polling station, that is the same for all 3 tiers. The people who conduct the elections is the same district administration, whether our election of Election Commission of India or state election under State Election Commission, a separate constitutional entity, not subordinate to Election Commission of India. So there the machinery is different, but the local administration conducts the election. Security apparatus is same. So once we have prepared the polling station, secured it for you, and you go there, you press one button if there is one election, or you press 3 buttons for 3 elections. It's a very convenient thing. But whether it is desirable, I don't know whether I mentioned to you that one BJD MP from Odisha made a very interesting observation. He asked, what is it that people want? He said, people love frequent elections because that is the only importance they have. The most poor people have no power, nothing. And because of election, every neta, namaste, namaste, vote do, uske paas jaate hain. And we have seen how many times, this is the reality, that how many times an MLA or MP after winning the election does not go back to the voter for 5 years. And there are posters put up, Gumshuda ki talash, missing, and my MP is missing, my MLA is missing for 5 years. So is that a situation which a voter would like? Voter want that politicians should keep coming to them with folded hands. At least they will be able to get the redressal of some of their problems.
So you would say that frequent elections will increase the accountability of politicians, at least at the ground level. They have to go back to
that is the right word.
Again.
Exactly, that's the right word, accountability. It increases the accountability.
So since you mentioned the Law Commission's report, so there was one suggestion by the Law Commission that to implement this idea, you have to give a fixed term for the government. That means that even if the government loses its majority in the parliament or in the assembly, the government should be able to continue. Or if a no confidence motion is proposed, then the party which is proposing the no confidence motion, they should provide an alternative stable government. So a fixed term is, that is a suggestion by the Law Commission. So how do you see this suggestion about fixed term for the government?
Two things here. One is about the fixed term. Fixed term, how can we give fixed term? That once appointed, suppose the government is extremely corrupt or is working against national interest, and people want the government out, and their own members start defecting. So how can you make them permanent? So the defections will still happen, can happen, and the defections in the case of a single party. What if there is a coalition government and a coalition partner goes away? So, whereas the other proposal you mentioned was no confidence motion. Now, no confidence motion should also carry a confidence motion for A, then I have no confidence, I want B. So, legally, it may be a little difficult to sustain, because somebody who is in a minority today, certainly we have confidence in that minority, whereas majority is being thrown out. Now, the governments fall not because of no confidence motion alone. What if the coalition partners walk away? There's no question of any confidence and no confidence. Immediately it comes into minority. So, therefore, giving a fixed term is easier said than done. Actually, fixed term, the Constitution has already given. There is a fixed term for 5 years. You cannot reduce it by a day and you cannot increase it by a day. Reduce in the sense, we reduce by 3-4 months when we club some elections, but that is more for convenience and the reason that is one election should not influence the other. But again, since you are a law channel, we came across a very interesting problem in 2011 or 12 when we were doing Himachal election. We wanted to advance the Himachal election because of the weather conditions by 4 months, from February to November. Somebody raised this issue that Constitution has given you a fixed term of 5 years. Who is the Election Commission to reduce that term by 4 months or 5 months? Do you know what we came across? An interesting legal proposition. They said that actually, suppose we hold the election for 4 months before, that assembly will be assembly in waiting, and it will wait for the existing assembly to finish its term. Suppose the existing incumbent chief minister refuses to resign, the party refuses to resign, I still have 4 months left. Legally, we cannot throw him out. Only thing is, they all resign because of they lose moral authority. Once they lose election, they have to resign. But suppose they don't, what will be the legal situation? Because the Election Commission cannot reduce the term by 4 months for its convenience, for its own women fancy. So, therefore, the term given for 5 years in the Constitution has a sanctity attack, and it cannot be disturbed.
And even for sitting of the simultaneous elections also, we'll have to reduce the terms of some state assemblies by few months or even few years. For example, Karnataka recently, the elections were over. So you'll have to cut short the terms of certain assemblies. You'll have to elongate the period of assembly. So that is
exactly. No, and both are illegal. Both you cannot do. How can you curtail the term? They have been elected by overwhelming majority. By what authority can anybody say, no, go home, your term is cut short? In fact, the precedent rule used to be imposed, Article 356 used to be imposed very liberally till Supreme Court in Bombay case made it very clear that this is not something to be used very lightly. You cannot, at whim, if you don't like the face of the chief minister of the government, you throw them out. You cannot. So and in fact, I think Uttarakhand and one more state, there were the last cases when Supreme Court restored those governments where 356 had been imposed. You might recall, besides Uttarakhand, I remember there is one more.
Arunachal.
Yeah, I think in the northeast.
Arunachal.
Yeah, Arunachal, exactly. Therefore, our use of Article 356 also cannot be done liberally now after the 3 judgments, Bombay and these 2 judgments.
So overall, you would say that from a purely administrative perspective, there could be some benefits, but from the perspective of democracy and constitution, the benefits are not very welcome.
Yes, correct. And at the same time, I would like to say that to be fair to the Prime Minister, from the beginning, he had all the majority. If he wanted, he could have thrust it down the throat of the nation. He did not. He said, let there be debate. And debate has been going on. and he constituted committees, and even now a committee has been constituted with again very broad framework. And I'm very happy that along in these 10 years, initially all three tiers were to be clubbed. That was the proposal. But slowly, gradually, people stopped talking about panchayat election and clubbing only of the top two tiers, which is a dilution of the proposal. 30 lakh panches on one side and 4,120 MLAs on the other side. You eliminate 30 lakh. And panchayat, mind you, under the constitution, your panchayat election is as important as Vidhan Sabha election, as Lok Sabha election. You cannot be contemptuous of, oh, panchayat election, take it lightly, don't care. You cannot. Your right to vote your sarpanch is as important as your right to vote an MP.
Right. So one final question. So even if we assume that this proposal is getting implemented, from a very administrative point of view, will it be possible for the Election Commission to implement large-scale simultaneous elections across the country, joining the panchayats and municipalities and assemblies and in one? Because, for example, the panchayat local body elections are held by the state election commissions, and even for a state like Kerala, yes, sir. Please.
Yes. Two problems. One, as you mentioned, that since all three are not under the same body, so there are two separate bodies and both are constitutional bodies. One is not subordinate to the other. So their coordination, their working together will be very difficult. But even if some way is found, but that is one issue. The other, for the Election Commission, it's a very easy thing to do. All we need is 3 times the EVMs. Because EVMs, we recycle, as you know. Suppose we are holding Lok Sabha election. We use the same machine. And after some time, after the election is over, then we erase the data and go for a state election. So recycle, same machine is used second time somewhere. Now, if all 3 elections are happening together, all 3 machines have to be present. So we need 3 times the EVM. Now we have about 20 lakh EVMs. For simultaneous election, we need 40 lakh more. 20 lakhs we have, 40 lakh more. It will take at least 2-3 years, if not 4 years, to manufacture. No, because it is not just the old EVM, there is also VVPAT. So these 2 machines have to be manufactured. Manufacturing takes some time. We cannot give it to private sector. We give it only to 2 public sector undertakings, BEL and ECIL. So, and they have a limited capacity. So, in any case, even if a mandate is given to Election Commission to hold, in principle, easy, except for logistical reason, it will require some time.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you.